Welcome to episode 18 of the B Movie Club. I'm your host Kevin, and this is our special guest Tori. How you doing?
Good.
Good to have you.
Just woke up from Lazy Town.
That joke never gets old. This week we're going to be discussing The Long Kiss Goodnight, not to be confused with A Long Kiss Goodnight, which is what I've been calling it all week, starring Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson. Last night we had a special evening with Samuel L. Jackson where a bunch of us got together, watched a couple of his movies, and just really kind of soaked in the magic, the majesty.
I was hoping you were going to say his essence.
His musk.
Didn't happen.
Of Samuel L. Jackson. This movie came out in 1995. It was directed by Rennie Harlin, who also directed Die Hard 2, Die Harder, Cliffhanger, a few other films. He was actually married to Gina Davis at this time, and this movie was supposed to be like her big, coming out as an action star, I guess. It was also written by Shane Black, who wrote Lethal Weapon. He wrote The Last Boy Scout, and of course, Long Kiss Goodnight. So Tori, why don't you tell us what the movie was about?
Okay, well, essentially you got Gina Davis as a typical house mom, teacher, really laid back, and she has amnesia, so she hires Samuel L. Jackson to discover her identity. So as it unfolds, you find out she's this train killer for the government, and that big reveal, and then it's just action packed from there on. Basically, she's discovering a character that cusses more than Samuel L. Jackson, actually.
It's not easy to do.
It was a stretch. But, so she turns hardcore, and then, of course, she finds her true nature and loving, caring side that was underneath it all the whole time.
Yeah, evidently, as an assassin, she had bleached blonde hair and wore a lot of makeup. So that's how her transformation, that was basically how she did it. Some things about the movie. They were originally talking about doing a sequel, and by they, I mean Samuel L. Jackson and I think the director. I'm not sure any studios were like, hey, we got to get that out in theaters. But like in 2007, they were talking about there should be a sequel. But my question is, I don't know how there could be a sequel about a movie about a woman with amnesia. Did they hit her in the head? I mean, now I can't remember who I was again. So I don't know. It's like Weekend at Bernie's 2. How do they do that?
He's still dead.
He's still dead, and we're still dragging his corpse around. Anyway, some other things about the movie. There's actually a scene in it where this historic hotel in Canada where they were doing their filming gets blown up and actually burned to the ground in real life. So there you have it. It was a tragedy. It was again 100 years old, so it was like a major issue. Sadly, this movie didn't do that well in the box office. It wasn't a total failure. They made some money, but not as much as they anticipated. Like I said, Gina Davis was married to the director Rennie Harlin at the time, and this movie effectively ended their marriage and ended her movie career. I mean, again, this was in 1995. Think back. Have you seen her in anything lately? Anything? Bueller. I haven't seen her in anything. So she did the Gina Davis show for about half a season. So if you're a big fan of that, then you're like, what?
Haven't seen her in anything.
Still haven't seen her. We're still waiting. Exactly. Roger Ebert gave it 2.5 stars out of 5 or 10 or 1,000, whatever his rating system is. Half a thumb up, I don't know. Basically saying, I've never seen it where so much energy, so much time, so much effort is put into something that was utterly forgettable. That's ridiculous. This movie was not very forgettable. The cell phones back in the day were huge. People had beepers. When was the last time you saw somebody with a beeper? They made references to the Energizer Bunny,
Right.
Baywatch Nights. Very topical references in this day and
Disturbing,
age.
yeah.
Very disturbing. So what else can we tell you about The Long Kiss Goodnight? I think that one of the biggest issues about this movie is the title, The Long Kiss Goodnight. It sounds like it's some romantic comedy starring, Kate Hudson or something. It's no. It's an action movie. It's an action movie with Gina Davis being this hardcore action star.
Bionic skating woman.
Yeah, there's a scene
Excellent.
where she's skating across the ice shooting at the bad guys, and there's a scene where she was supposed to do like this crazy backflip and shooting, and they tried with like cranes and pulleys, and they just said, forget it, just skate, woman, and they still used a stunt double.
Oh no.
So
And there was a body double for the jogging woman.
there was.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. I was posting on Facebook my favorite quotes from the movie as they occurred. I know some of you were like, what's going wrong with Kevin? Has he lost his mind? What are all these crazy things? So that's what I was doing. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't smoking the pipe. At least not at that exact moment.
So that's a testament. It was rapid fire. I mean, these quotes were just it was so good.
There were money. Like I said, technically it's a Gina Davis vehicle, but in my mind, it's a Samuel L. Jackson tour de force, if you will. Let's go ahead. We have a couple interviews with some people, some of our friends, Chad and Melissa, who came to an evening with Samuel L. Jackson. So why don't we go?
So let's dim the lights, set the mood.
Yeah. We're about to start watching A Long Kiss Goodnight, starring Samuel L. Jackson. But first, I wanted to get some initial impressions from Melissa and Chad, our special guests today. What are some... Say hello, please.
Hello.
Hello. What are some of your favorite Samuel L. Jackson movies of the past, or the future, for that matter? The present?
Go for it.
Any time period?
Pulp Fiction's got to be my top favorite with Samuel.
I love Pulp
Yeah.
Fiction. I love that movie's the bomb diggity. There's that scene where they're in the car with John Travolta and they just shot the buddy in the back seat.
Oh yeah, and his head explodes all over the back seat. That's
It
pretty
was
awesome.
ridiculous.
Actually.
There was like
Yeah.
stuff in Samuel Jackson's hair.
Yeah.
It was lovely. Lovely, lovely. Melissa, what do you feel?
I like the one we're watching, Die Hard with a Vengeance.
That's pretty good.
We're,
pretty good,
we were
yeah.
watching Die Hard with a Vengeance to get kind of get
Warmed
the
up.
palate ready
Yeah.
for Long Kiss Goodnight. It is, I'll tell you what, Samuel L. Jackson is like one of those actors where it's fun just to watch him. You know what I mean? Just do his thing. Like
Yeah.
certain actors, they just play that same kind of character. Like Vince Vaughn, for example, plays that Vince Vaughn character. Samuel L. Jackson plays the Samuel L. character,
every
and I
movie.
love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
We just commented on how good of a yeller he is. He
Yeller.
does a very good job.
I hope you burn in hell.
Yeah, yelling all of his lines. Absolutely.
You can't
Not
make
too
it.
many good yellers out there. You know,
Old Yeller.
old yeller, but
There's one.
other than that,
Yeah, other than that, he's pretty much the only one. No, I mean, he's definitely one of my favorites. Now, he's definitely had some turkeys in there.
Yes.
oh yeah.
My wife and I went and saw Snakes on a Plane not long ago.
Around the time of that
Black Snake Boom.
movie, there was like a service that you could call in and give information about people,
Right.
and then an automated Samuel L. Jackson would call that person and have. So I got a phone call from what I thought was the real Samuel L. He knew everything about me. I
Right.
mean, it was creepy.
I think that was actually Samuel L. Jackson.
It probably was.
That was the
I mean,
real
it was
Samuel.
legit. It didn't sound like one of those movie phone like digital guys. It was the real Samuel L.
That's
He
how
was
he does
yelling
it.
at me, and he knew everything about me.
Not all actors will go that extra mile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what makes him great.
And he called collect. So that,
He called to ask for money. Yeah. Good old Sammy. He's my boy. No, we were when we were trying to decide what movie to watch earlier, we were looking at Sphere.
Mhm.
We were looking at Deep Blue Sea. Spoiler alert, about halfway through the movie,
He gets it.
Sammy becomes shark food.
yeah.
Yep.
That's a big spoiler alert. He gives, what's great about that one is he gives like this impassioned speech about how they shouldn't give up and, you know, tomorrow will be a brighter day, the sun will come out tomorrow, and then the shark just gets
Gets
him.
him. Yep.
You know, it was a big shocker. Again, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it,
Too bad.
probably not worth seeing it now.
Probably not worth saying spoiler alert after you spoiled it.
It's all good.
My bad.
Note to self.
I'm not gonna write that down.
Future episodes.
These pearls of wisdom. Anyway, I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys would like to contribute?
Not so hot in the Star Wars trilogy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was the shaved head or
His
I
name
don't
was
know.
Mace Windu.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
flowing robes didn't do it for him. I don't know.
I know.
Because he's got such a great figure. So
That's
hiding
true.
it in those flowing robes.
That's true. I mean, he just looked like Samuel L. Jackson walked in, put on a robe, and he
Oh,
was ready to go.
Right.
Same bald Samuel L. Jackson had. So basically, he walked off the set of Sphere and stepped right on Star Wars with Jar Jar Binks.
Not so much yelling and stuff, but you know.
He did drop a couple MFs in there, though, I think, if memory serves. I was like, that's inappropriate. This is a kid's movie. Come on, Sam, you're better than that. You know what I'm saying? And we're back. Wasn't that great? So yeah, Rotten Tomatoes gave this a 69% fresh, which technically is a passing grade. Technically, I
it
think
should be fresh.
it's fresh, exciting. I enjoyed it. Most people I've talked to, they fall in either one of two camps. Either they saw it and they're like, yeah, that's my guilty pleasure, it's one of my favorites, or what's this movie? I've never heard of it. I don't know anything about
Well,
it.
the reason why there are two camps is because once you see it, it's your guilty
Right.
pleasure. Because I mean, this is
It's very difficult for it to be your favorite movie if you haven't seen it. I guess is the moral of the story.
Right.
I think we can all learn from that. It was streaming instantly over the last week on Netflix, but sadly it is no longer streaming instantly. So I got this, I think at like Target or Amazon for like $12. It's money well spent. Rush out and get it. Don't let Gina Davis' scary face. She looks very angry. Don't let that dissuade you from purchasing it. Next week, I'm going to be doing Dreamscape, classic, starring Dennis Quaid, kind of a sci-fi horror movie, one of my favorites. And it's a movie that we haven't talked about lately. I don't think anybody's talked about it lately, but it's definitely a movie that when you talk about it, people have fond memories about it. I remember most of my movies that I've chosen up to this point have been movies from like the 80s. I'm not married to the 80s. I mean, Long Kiss Goodnight was 95. That's well into the 90s. But I don't want to stay too long in the 90s. I'm getting right back to the 80s as soon as I can. So, not married to the 80s, but I'm definitely engaged, okay? We're leasing with the option to buy. So, thank you for joining us. You know, I end every episode with a favorite quote. Do you have a favorite quote that you want to share?
well, it'd have to be, yeah, I'm a Mormon because I just smoked a pack of Cools and had 2 vodka tonics.